What's good, y'all? Shagai Makai. Welcome back to my channel. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. And if you're new, make sure you subscribe. I'm trying to hit 1,000 subscribers, and every subscriber helps. Over here on this channel, we upload daily basketball content. So if you enjoy watching the NBA as much as I do, make sure you subscribe. And today we're going to be talking about what I think the Oklahoma City Thunder should do, going into this next off season and basically deciding what their future is going to be like. So number one, what they have to do is trade Chris Paul. Of course, last season they had a great, amazing, unprecedented season with him. They made the playoffs after they had, a very, very low percent chance to make it. ESPN reported, I think it was like maybe a 2% chance or something like that. And, it's amazing. Like, the whole season was great. It ended kind of in a disappointing, whack way, but what can you do? But the reason I say Chris Paul is because he's 35. He's getting paid like, $35 million a year. He got 2 years left on that giant contract, and it's just like OKC needs to go into full rebuild mode. They got a lot of young pieces that are going to be great for the future, but in a Chris Paul trade, you need to try to get back as much young guys as possible. And they have a lot of draft picks. Because coming from OKC, coming from Houston and coming from the Clippers, they got a lot of draft picks. So maybe you don't need a bunch of young guys for Chris Paul, but all that needs to happen is that you need to trade Chris Paul, get rid of that 35-year-old man, and get rid of all that money on your books. And a couple of trade partners that could be interested in Chris Paul. One that comes up automatically, the New York Knicks. They are interested in taking on a huge contract, I guess, to free up money when that contract is done. So but with the Knicks, you're not really getting back a lot of good value, because a package from the Knicks could look like what? Julius Randle, Kevin Knox. Yeah, like that's not it. Like, the Knicks have young guys, Frank Ntilikina, but does OKC really want to give Chris Paul up for those subpar young guys, like, who really don't have a lot of upside? Because Kevin Knox, he came out the draft pretty disappointing, averaging about 6 points a game, I think. Julius Randle, he was all right, in LA at first. I think he had a bounce back season in New Orleans one year. He went to the Knicks. Knicks gave him all that money, and he just fumbled the bag. He wasn't that great, and I don't think OKC should be putting their cash in that young man's pockets. Another trade partner that comes up is the Milwaukee Bucks, and it's more good for Milwaukee than it is for OKC, because like, what does Milwaukee really have to offer you that will make you interested in a trade? Because they could offer you what? Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, DiVincenzo. Like, there's not really good value coming from the Bucks that that OKC should be interested in. And if you're not giving me Brook Lopez or like somebody like that, I don't really know if I want to do a deal with y'all, because it's like, I'm not giving up Chris Paul for Eric Bledsoe, George Hill, DiVincenzo, or whatever draft pick y'all have, because I know it's not going to be valuable. So, Milwaukee is out, because it doesn't really make sense for the Thunder, you know what I'm saying? And I think the best option is probably the Chicago Bulls. And, I'm a Bulls fan, but I'm not saying this in a biased way. You can get some good value back for him, because, who does Chicago have? You can get Thaddeus Young back. You'd have to throw in Otto Porter for the money stuff. You can get Tomas Satoransky, a nice, energetic point guard. You can get, I'm not saying this would happen, but, maybe you can convince Chicago to give up Lauri Markkanen. But no. Let me stop playing. You can't get Lauri. But, Thaddeus Young is a nice young power forward. He's good inside, has a little jump shot. Tomas Satoransky is a nice, energetic guy. He can come off your bench. He can give you out some points. Like, OKC could be good with that. And the Bulls have what? You're not giving up the 4th pick for that. So maybe some 2nd round picks in the future 1st round picks, maybe. I don't know. But those are some options that they could have when trading Chris Paul. None of them are, amazing options, but I mean, for a 35-year-old getting paid over $30 million, I don't think you're gonna get, amazing value back for him. And another thing they have to do, re-sign Danilo Gallinari. I think Danilo Gallinari was amazing this season. He showed that, he can be a consistent guy in the rotation, a consistent starter. I think he averaged 17, 18, shot pretty well from the field, about 47% from the field, I read. And I think he's just going to be an integral part of their future, because he's a young guy, but he can provide you instant offense at all three levels of the court. But he's good off ball because you can just pass it to him, knock down, easy. Who else should they re-sign? Andre Roberson, his contract is coming up. I really feel bad about the whole injury thing because Andre Roberson is one of the best defenders in the NBA before that back injury. But now that he's not, what he once was, do you really want to re-sign him? Because the only value he has is a re-sign, because I know he's not going to be what he once was, but you could have him for locker room stuff, because locker room stuff is pretty important, I guess. Have him teaching defensive rotations to the young guys, keeping them motivated, I guess. Because you could sign him to what? A veteran minimum, I guess, like maybe $2 million. So, yeah, you could do that for, locker room purposes, not for playing purposes. You have to, I think Hamidou Diallo has an option this season. You want to re-sign him. He's just 21. He provides y'all great energy off the bench. And, he could be part of y'all future going forward. Maybe if he, rounds his game out a little bit. Because right now he's really only flashy dunks and that's about it. And that's the only value he really adds. But, keep Steven Adams. He's going to be a great center for y'all. He does his job, sets hard screens, rebounds hard, plays the best defense he can. That's a pretty good guy for y'all. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is y'all, piece going forward. He's going to be y'all leader, y'all star. And, somewhere down the line, because I don't think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can be the number one option on a championship team, but somewhere down the line, he might need a co-star. Not might need. He's definitely going to need a co-star, but for now, going into full rebuild mode, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, one of the, most skillful scorers in the NBA. I mean, when you watch this kid play, it's like, he just has every single move in his bag. Watching him shoot in mid-ranges is a favorite pastime of mine. He can shoot the three. He can create his own shot off the dribble. He can do a lot of stuff for y'all. And he's just, going to be very exciting for the future. Dennis Schroeder, you also got to keep him. I don't think his contract is coming up this season anyhow. I think he got a 2-year deal, but Dennis Schroeder, you got to keep him. He provided great energy off the bench. Instant offense off the bench. So, and with the draft this year, they got, the 25th pick? With the 25th pick, I mean, there are going to be some guys down there with a lot of, maybe potential upside, but not an instant, somebody who adds instant, value to the team. There we go. There's the word. But, they could draft a guy like Vernon Carey Jr. from Duke. Now, does he fall that low? I don't know. Because, his value, I think it's pretty all right. It's not like, top 10 or nothing like that, but Vernon Carey Jr., very dominant inside, has a little jumper that needs work, but, you can work with that. And that's what the 25th pick is about. Late first round picks are for project players. Like, you don't, draft somebody that's not a project player at the 25th pick, because you're not going to get a lot of value at the 25th pick because all the good guys are going to be gone. But they could also draft a kid from, I don't even know what country he's from. He got a very difficult name to say. I think it's Alexander Polk. Every NBA guys call him Poku. He's a 7-foot guy, 7'3" wingspan, guard skills, can pass the ball. But you have to draft him as a project player because he weighs about 205 pounds at 7 feet tall. So he's not gonna be playing any defense. He's not really gonna be able to compete at the NBA level quite yet. But if you look at his film, there's a lot of upside there. He's really a boom or bust kind of draft pick. And at the 25th pick, that's really the perfect spot to draft a boom or bust kind of guy. So it's like OKC can't really do much in the draft this year. But what they need to focus on is trading Chris Paul. They need to re-sign Danilo, re-sign Andre Roberson. And, just let Shai develop. Make sure you try to get the best value you can for Chris Paul. And if you had to ask me what deal I think they should take, I'm taking Chicago's deal because, you get Thaddeus Young, Tomas Satoransky. You get Otto Porter Jr., who's a good defensive wing who can knock down the three. I'm taking that deal because I think that gives you the most value, out of all the trade offers that, teams are going to be calling about. But other than that, OKC is going to be a rebuilding team for the next couple of years. And, they had to be. They traded away their 2 best players. And then, it's just time to rebuild. I trust in their GM, Sam Presti. Sam Presti is a pretty good GM. Not pretty good. One of the better GMs in the league. If you look at what he's done with these teams, with the OKC Thunder over the years, he's always, had them in playoff contention. Are they going to be a playoff team next year in the West? Most likely not. Because once you trade Chris Paul, there goes the star factor that you had. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander will be a star, but he's not quite a star quite yet. So, full rebuild mode. I told y'all what they need to do. That's my thoughts on the OKC Thunder. If you stay to the end of this video, thank you. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you on the next one.